Woo! Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be going over a 2023 Range Rover Velar HST. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Velar. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you need any help whatsoever, just ask for Zane. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 395 horsepower and then 405 pound-feet of torque. Before we go over the front end of this Velar HST, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the hood, the design is actually pretty simplistic overall, but notice we have these little accent pieces that say Range Rover there on either side, and then the Range Rover logo front and center, and I do like this blue color quite a bit. Coming down below, we've got the Velar's distinctive LED daytime running lights with the LED headlamps, and then notice the grille's all blacked out with the Land Rover logo off to the side. Parking sensors here at the bottom with everything being blacked out, and then we do have fog lights as well. It's like right there, and there you go. And then when you put it all together, the Velar is definitely a very beautiful vehicle when it comes to the front end. Coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 265/40/22 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then I absolutely love the wheel design with the silver there on the top and then the dark gray below it. It kind of has more of like a satin finish to it. Just looks good. And now you can see how those wheels absolutely pop against the side of the Velar. You do have some like blacked out accent pieces, including the trim around the windows. This does have the pop out door handles. So with the door handles in the locked function, it's just all flush, which is cool. So here's our key fob. We've got the Land Rover logo here on the back. We have our unlock function or lock function. This is to pop on the headlights, and then this will open up the hatch. And then popping inside here, we've got the cargo cover there in the back. We have these controls right here, which raise and lower the rear air suspension. And storage space overall is actually really solid, and got a spare tire underneath. When you're done with the rear, just press this button right here and that will lower the hatch right back down. Now, one of my favorite touches on the Velar is actually the taillights. It has these cool like 3-dimensional taillights, which just look super distinctive. Blacked out Range Rover logo. We have our HST badge. Everyone knows you got the bad boy powertrain. Parking sensors there at the bottom. And then look at these exhaust tips. And then of course you got the receiver hitch right there in the center. And then I want you guys to let me know what you think about the exterior styling with the new Velar. Now here's the rear door panel. Notice we've got beautiful leather trim all over. We do have some contrasted stitching throughout, and then look at the trim right there. That looks so cool. It's got cool graining in it. And then speakers for the sound system, which also look fantastic. Got this double stitch design here with the seats, and then notice the leather is perforated there in the center. Legroom is pretty solid here in the back of the Velar. Notice we got a little storage pocket. And then headroom is actually also really good. A couple more things to mention. We've got some vents right here. You got a little USB port down below, and we got a cup holder armrest. With the front door panel, it has that same leather trim design as the back, and then has the same cool graining there. All of our window controls right here with our mirror adjustments. This does have memory seats, more speakers from that Meridian sound system, and then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. You can see with the front seat, it has that same double stitch design as the rear seat. Really nice bolstering perforated in the center. And then we do have our power adjustments on the side, and then notice it says R Dynamic right there. Really nice looking pedals here, and then you've got this to open up the hatch. The steering wheel is power adjustable. The power adjustment is on the right side of the steering wheel because it's a British car. Beautiful leather trim all around the steering wheel with some darker stitching on the center to match. Even the airbag cover has nice leather trim and stitching. Really nice paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel. You got some controls for the center stack voice command controls. This does have adaptive cruise control as well. And then we have our regular turn signal / light stock and windshield wiper stock. Now here's the center gauge cluster. It is a full digital gauge cluster, and if I press the button there on the left side of the steering wheel, it'll let me scroll through these different menus, see different bits of info here on the Velar and systems within the Velar. Pretty standard setup. We do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Notice we have an on-road mode and then a towing mode as well, so it changes the line. And then on top of that, we do also have parking sensors. Now this is the tilt screen that like tilts up when you turn the car on, so it's pretty cool. But anyways, response time with the screen is actually really solid. It's easy to use as well. Pretty straightforward with all the different menus you can go into, and it still has a normal Land Rover info where it lets you know like elevation and all that. And yes, this does, as you can see, have a center locker. Now we have our secondary screen down below, and this controls stuff like, well, the climate system. So you can pull that up, and it does have the multi-control select control things. So it looks like we have heated seats, no ventilated seats with this particular one, but notice I just controlled the seat with it by pushing it in, and then I can push this little fan speed button, and then I'll control that on that side. And then you also can press the seat heat button for the seats. There's lots of different ways to control like the same stuff. But anyways, on top of that, we have our off-road cruise control, auto stop start if you're gonna turn that off, all of our drive modes. Main stuff is you do have a dynamic for like fun on-road driving mode, tons of off-road modes, and then you have an auto that'll just do everything for you. This is for the air suspension to raise or lower it. Right now, we're just at, as you can see, the normal ride height, and that's all for the center. Now down below we do have our shifter here, really nice trim there on the top, and then press the Land Rover logo and that'll open up the cup holder. And then you guys probably noticed some controls here for like stability control, hill descent control, pretty standard stuff. And then we got some more cup holders behind it. The Velar has the funky center console where it has like 2 different armrests, so you have to like open them independently to open up the whole thing. But we do have some USB ports there, and they center, and look at the stitching there on top. And then pretty normal glove box. I do love the trim here on the dash, so all of it's covered in leather. We've got controls here for the sunroof. We do have a full panoramic sunroof here in the Velar, and then look at the headliner. Really nice premium headliner with this as well. So here's our window sticker for the HST, and this is the Velar you want to get because of those power figures that we talked about earlier. But you've got the rest of the standard equipment, 4-year, 50,000 mile new vehicle warranty. Base MSRP is $79,200. This does have a few options added to it, including the full extended leather upgrade. I mean, for 1,800 bucks, I think it's definitely worth it just to make it feel more premium. But anyways, total MSRP on this one, $90,595. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, and hopefully you can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors just do a blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Oh, setting off here in this Velar. And since we don't have the Velar SVA anymore because that was just like a 1-year vehicle, well, this is the most powerful Velar we can get. And, well, let's see if it's worth upgrading to this over the standard 3.0 inline 6 or, you know, the 2.0 turbo that you can also get in the Velar. First off, ride quality is really good. Despite the fact this has massive wheels, it still rides really well, which is a huge plus. Seat comfort's really good too, so that's another big plus. I do find it interesting that they only have heated seats with this and not air-conditioned seats, especially at the price point this is at. So that's a little bit interesting. Some other stuff is, again, the interior on these new Range Rovers is so nice. Like, everything is really well put together. Like, build quality is really good, and just the material use, like with this extended leather package, everything's covered. And the headliner is really nice. Like, just full-on luxury experience. This engine's really torquey, so that's the first big benefit with this powertrain. And yeah, this air suspension is really helping out with these bumpy Salt Lake roads, so I think that's a pretty big plus with this package so far. And then some other stuff, visibility's great. I think this has the upgraded windshield. I didn't check the windows. I didn't read every single option on the window sticker, but it's got little lines in the windshield which usually signify this has the upgraded windshield. I do notice that there's, like, with this windshield, there's like less glare and everything from the sun, which is nice. We're gonna get our acceleration here with this 3-liter inline 6. Woo! That sounds good, and that is quick. Wow. You get into those turbos and it's just boom, this thing rips. Wow. I'm gonna pop it back into comfort mode and just relax. By the way, this does have the solar attenuating windshield. I can always tell because of the lines on the windshield. I don't notice it when I'm just driving like a regular, like a Land Rover product. But when I'm doing these point of view videos, because of where my head is and everything, to give you guys a proper GoPro view, the lines are very clear to me. But setting things up here with this, the Velar, you guys know I'm a huge fan of it. I love how it looks. And, you know, this is a heck of a lot more affordable compared to like a Range Rover Sport or a full size. That being said though, if you get like a base, what is this person doing? If you get a base model Sport nowadays, it's like $90,000 starting. Well, not starting, but like after a few options. And so definitely, like, do you get a fully loaded Velar or do you get a base model Sport? I think that's an interesting question to ask yourself because they both have inline sixes with the same amount of power. What I have to say is this isn't as comfortable as the new Sport, but you know, I think this looks a lot better than the new Sport. That's just my personal opinion. Again, looks are completely subjective. And then this definitely drives a little bit sportier than the Sport, even though the Sport is called the Sport, and that's because this is slightly smaller, right? So it makes sense that it just is a little bit sportier with the driving characteristics. So yeah, that's a very interesting question to answer. Maybe I'll have to do a comparison or something for you guys. But let me know which one you guys would pick. Would you pick a new Sport that was pretty lightly optioned out for $90,000, or would you pick this one that's like fully loaded roughly for $90,000? That's gonna sum things up with our video on this Velar. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Velar. Check out the inventory in the description down below. Ask for Zane if you need any help. I'll see ya.